Hello, everyone. Welcome to DGens for a Brighter Future. We're really excited to have Claire Zhang on today, the head of marketing and communications for the Stratos Network, which is a decentralized storage, computing, database solution on the blockchain. Claire comes from a phenomenal background working with both the private sector and the public sector. She was the executive president, sorry about that, Claire, of the Canada-China Junior Chamber of Commerce. She was also a program manager for the Canada-China Business Council. She also was a part of the business development team in the Greater China area for Sino Plus. So suffice to say, she has a big background, and I'm super excited that she made the time for us today. How are you doing, Claire?
Hi, George. I'm doing great. Thanks again for having me here. It's a great pleasure to get on this chat with you, and also maybe hopefully through our call, we're able to also bring some insights and knowledge to your audience as well.
No, that's the joy of it, you know. And before we go on, I want to mention to everyone watching, nothing in this video is financial advice. There might be financial opinion, but not financial advice. Be sure to talk to a professional and just do your own research. Anyways, with that being said, the first thing I wanted to ask you, Claire, is you have a really phenomenal and diverse background. Before you entered the blockchain space. I was wondering, for a lot of the viewers watching, it's such a new industry, and I see this pattern of people that have so many different skills and backgrounds and somehow suddenly end up in the space. You know, so I was curious, can you walk us through that journey? How did you end up at Stratos Network, or when did you feel that moment that this was the industry you wanted to be in?
Sure, absolutely. I love this first questions because I think since I started joining in this, fast growing industries, I absolutely in love with it. And also I keep just encouraging my friends around me or people reaching out to me for some career advice. I think they should at least take into consideration about this industry, right? So a little bit about my own personal story. So as you just mentioned, my previous kind of experience are mostly are around China, Canada, or international business development. So I have been really dedicated myself into the Sino Canada bilateral investment and trade for about 8 years. So back in the day, I encounter or I work with a lot of the senior executives and also politicians between two nations in regards how to provide them business intelligence and also business network to do business between the two nations. So I really covered all kinds of industries, right? So traditional industry like oil and gas and also tech and import export. So I always keep my eye on some of the emerging markets or emerging industries. And I still remember that back in the day because I'm currently based in Montreal, Quebec. So there are lots of requests or interest about helping us finding Bitcoin, mining pools, right? So back in the day, while I was still being a consultant, I think that's when it kind of planted a seed in my mind that, okay, I knew a lot about Bitcoin, I knew the trends, but I never really had the courage to really jump into this. So until late 2019, I was approached by our founder, Bin, through a personal network about this opportunity. So of course, like many others who was an outsider, that I was a little bit not too sure, because to be honest, we all kind of held certain bias or uncertainty about this industry by just reading from the mainstream news back in the days. However, because I do hold a lot of communication experiences and also networking experience, so I do feel as a marketing roles and communication roles, I do feel comfortable to start somewhere, right, part-time, or to start to get to know the project and the program. So I have the opportunity to join the team to pass through the whole fundraising process, and also I literally went through the days that we started to build out a communities. And then that kind of the moment also when the 2020 and 2021, the hype of Web3, the hype of crypto also kind of came in as well. And that's, I think, the moment that when I realized like this is an industry that's really exciting with tons of opportunities. And plus, I think because we are also building a very solid technologies instead of just creating a project. I think that's kind of the one of the drive for me to be very okay, I want to join this space. I want to be part of a team that actually builds something that, you know, can be applied to the whole industry. So that's my personal story about what made me to decide to join this and be part of this move together. So yeah, back to you.
So I think that was a really beautiful story, a great way to paint how this industry is changing so many lives so quickly. I think a lot of the viewers who are watching maybe don't know where they might fit into the space. Out of curiosity, just from moving into such a unique and different space from where you were before, do you have any advice for any maybe young entrepreneurs that want to start building or maybe want to get their foot in the door?
Like for sure, I think for a lot of people, they tend to hesitate on themselves because they think, oh, I'm not a developer or I don't have any technical backgrounds, right? So they may not think about joining this space for the first thought. But I think from my current experience, you know, engaging with different kind of projects and different kind of stakeholders, I do find to really boost our whole or grow our whole ecosystem. We are really lack of talents in from all kinds of backgrounds, marketing, business development, social medias or community moderators. So an operation side as well, I think. So I do think if people who are currently in the Web 2 share some of the transferable skills from those positions, I do think they should be brave enough to apply for certain positions in the Web3 that are available as well. Those are some of the things I can think of at the moment. Yeah.
Fantastic. No, and I hope all that information translates to someone watching here who might be the next crypto billionaire or millionaire. Yeah. You know, love to hear him start out saying, oh, I heard Claire on Degens for a Brighter Future, and that got me started. So that's great. So now there's more questions I want to ask you about you, but so we don't lose track, I'd like to get a little bit into the Stratos Network. So for those who are unfamiliar, what is the Stratos Network? And what is the network trying to accomplish?
Sure. Let's jump straight into the projects or the techie part. So you did kind of give us a one sentence description earlier, right? And I can see that, you know, it's a lot of information you're trying to put in together. So Stratos is a project that we're building the decentralized cloud for Web3 and crypto industries. So we're providing a solid infrastructure with decentralized storage, database, computation network, and also our own blockchain as well. So that's kind of like a straightforward explanation about what we are doing. So essentially that we are a infrastructure project that we're here to empower or incubate different kind of builders and developers. So essentially Stratos is an infrastructure project that we're here to empower and incubate builders and developers to build different kind of decentralized applications easily. So that's kind of a brief introduction about what Stratos is doing.
And just so people aren't confused, when I read the white paper, it felt to me like I was reading a lot about infrastructure. So is the project providing infrastructure regardless of the blockchain that the decentralized application might be on?
Yes, I think currently at this stage right now, I think the whole industry have different kind of interpretations regarding infrastructure. You know, a lot of people thinking that a public blockchain or public chain is an infrastructure itself, or a lot of people thinking about maybe like a big mining pool is part of the infrastructure. I think those all falls into the categories. However, when we design or when we build this decentralized cloud or Stratos cloud, we really look into what developers and builders are using as an infrastructure in Web 2, right? So if you look at them, they're using AWS cloud, which covers many components, and that's why we believe we are a one all-in-one like infrastructure solutions, providing the key components for them, which including blockchain as well. Yeah.
No, and that's actually a really good point you bring up, because currently one of the major challenges in cryptocurrency, especially on the smart contract layer ones, is that so much data builds up as each block gets propagated in the network for the next transaction. And keeping that chain going requires so much storage. And currently, one of the major concerns is that from Ethereum to Solana, a lot of that data is being stored on AWS or Google Cloud, and these are all centralized points of failure. Out of curiosity, is there? It seems like there's obviously a very different use cases, for Stratos. We've seen Arweave, for example, try to capitalize on storing different blockchain networks ledgers. Out of curiosity, is that a part of the market that Stratos is also hoping to get to as well?
Well, I would say, like what I mentioned, storage is only one part of the solution or service off the Stratos network, right? So, of course, currently we're at a stage that we're building, or we're at the storage testnet stage. So definitely we are in this game, or we are being seen as competitors or part of the decentralized storage kind of sectors. So, however, I think there also are a lot of differences between Stratos storage solutions versus other competitors like Arweave or Filecoin, or you name others ones, right? So you can definitely see that over the past few years, like a lot of players, a lot of projects, they are trying to building out this service or solution. Unfortunately, they're all to some extent have some limitation and drawbacks that it just cannot meet the virus infrastructure demands for Web 3.0 and also the user base. So I think the pain point right now is not only about the kind of the transaction data or etc. that right now there are just no truly decentralized cloud or architecture that's available on the market. So this leads to the situation that, like you just brought it up, like so many of them, they are still highly dependent on centralized cloud services such as AWS, Google Cloud, with no better choices. However, we heard them so often, different kind of news about these projects, they are booming. However, with a growing number of users, like certain public chain got crushed simply by XYZ user basis, right? So I think the development of Web3 right now is not only about the richness of the applications on the Web3, but also about stabilities and efficiencies of the underlying networks. So that's why we designed a 4 modules and 3 layers architecture with our unique proof of traffic consensus to better encourage the participating miners who are contributing to the networks, but also we want to making sure that content creators or builders, they are also kind of having all the controls of their data at their own as well. So I'll stop it here so you can dive into it. But I would say our storage solutions, because it also comes with CDN services, which is the content delivery network. This will be a kind of powerful tool for a lot of interactive applications, for example, including video streaming services or any type of content delivery things. So we can talk about use cases later on as well. But I think this is, if I must say, a major differences between how we position ourselves compared to the other stakeholders and players in the space.
No, and I think one of the really interesting things you pointed out is how the technology itself is being used in a very practical manner. So, before we spoke about before this recording, how a lot of the media is focused on speculation or downplaying the use cases that are very practical for the technology. What I was wondering if you could illustrate, and I think you were getting into that quite well, is beyond maybe my narrow view of offering a blockchain space of, or more capacity for certain blockchains to store their data. What are maybe some of the B2B solutions that Stratos can offer for the everyday business person or content creator like yours truly?
Yeah, for sure. I really like this question. Once we have our Stratos mainnet ready or launched, our business focus, like you mentioned, gonna be like to B side, right? So yes, as an individual users, you can still leverage our storage solutions, uploading, downloading your files. However, when we design this, we are really keeping this in our mindset that we are designing a commercial level storage solutions or cloud solutions. So there could be many different kind of use cases. I'll start from Web3, right? Because we're in the space. So naturally, for the reason being fully decentralized. So every Web3 companies or every Web3 projects, we really welcome them to try us and onboarding us. For example, NFT projects, they can really leverage or use our scalable and secure storage to support various digital assets. Because right now, you can see and hear many builders, they're not only trying to just do the JPEG NFTs, right? They are expanding them into video formats, musical formats. So to actually making sure the ownership of the different format of those NFTs, it requires more than just what's available right now, like as a solution. So that's why I mentioned earlier that Stratos storage comes with CDN services as well, which will be able to support those various digital assets. So this is kind of like a number one use cases for NFTs. There also could be SocialFi that we can work with them as well. So of course, there's a lot to store data or like the user's personal information, etc. But once we are able to roll out our decentralized database, I think that's also one of the missing components right now in the whole industry, that there's just no decentralized database solution to guarantee equal rights and data ownership. And right now you can see a lot of them, they're trying to build a decentralized Twitter or really like engaging social network with a crypto or tokenize them. So we believe that we already have partnership with one of the like SocialFi projects. So when we communicate with them, we definitely hear where are some of the like struggles, right? And because for them to realize a fully decentralized SocialFi network is not as easy as everybody's talking about. This is kind of one of the parts. So of course, we can still touch base on multiple things. For example, GameFi, right? They have so many different kind of like on game kind of closes or different kind of NFT as well to store. Another thing I also want to mention is that we also come with this decentralized computing network as well. So you might heard about a lot of like new projects that they're trying to connect, whether smart applications or home networks or IoT devices to metaverse, those type of projects. So as we are really growing the whole space, the computation power or computation network is also like essential to the to the booming of this industry. So that's also what Stratos Network can facilitate as well. So like here are about the decentralized or Web3 industries. And like I just mentioned, when we build this, right, we make sure, right, through different kind of testings, we always making sure that we're able to support like a daily commercial level projects. The reason why is that we really want to bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. So in my personal opinion, I believe that Web 3 and Web 2, it's going to be parallel for like a while, right? For a time of period. However, when we try to engage with a lot of traditional or Web 2 companies, right? They are very open-minded about the decentralized solutions if we can provide them secure or fast enough storage powers or upload and download speed. So for any traditional business, whether you are a small, medium size, just running an e-commerce, or if you are a big companies who are like hosting videos or stuff like this, we are also very confident and capable that they are able to use Stratos fully decentralized cloud or storage seamlessly, just like how they're using AWS at the moment. However, the cost would only be a fraction of what they're paying to those centralized like companies. So here are just some of the like sectors that we can get into or support them together. So yeah.
That was a lot. I felt like I had a different question every section, but that was very well put. I mean, definitely ownership is a very poignant issue in Web 2. You know, nobody owns their own data. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody's data is being sold to someone else, whether it's for advertising or some other product. So, I mean, that's a very poignant thing to mention that I noticed in your statement. And one thing I really noticed when I was reading the white paper, that it says that nobody can take down your application, and that the information is, I suppose, permanent, is the implication here. I was hoping you could dive a little bit in what you mean by that. If I run an application, say I put a video on YouTube, YouTube could take down that video. But if there's a decentralized version, that data can be stored and still accessible through Stratos. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, pretty much. I think you put this into a very great kind of use case or scenario. So, you know how right now, like in 2021, I remember that there was a company called or application called Parler. So like AWS only informed them like with 24 hours notice that, you know, we're going to suspend your services, blah, 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 blah. So like there's ongoing problem like this, you know, due to different kind of reasons, whether it's, you know, like commercial conflicts or politicals, right? So, and we also often seen so many YouTubers in this space, in a crypto space, or whether they're on a YouTube or a Twitter, that sometimes their accounts are being suspended or their content are being taken down. So I think this is one of the issues that we are working to solve it, and we can solve it as well. Like regarding the part that how we are able to solve this question. So first of all, I think I have to come back to the design of the storage. But also, excuse me that because I'm not a technical person, that I might be not fully accurate with term and stuff. So, however, that because when we're building out this like network, right? So we have 3 layers. The bottom layer is the resource network, where all the computation powers, the traffic, and the storage that are being calculating at the bottom layers, which is using our unique proof of traffic consensus. So when you upload a file or videos, so they're gonna be like 3 replica automatically that being stored from like on our distributed network, right? With multiple copies. So that being said, when one computer or one person trying to hack this certain like hash code or like, so they will never able to retrieve the whole piece of your content because it's already being like stored distributively, maybe thousands of copies around different computers. So that's in a way how we are able to ensure a secure, and also we can ensure that you own like your own content. Yeah. So I'll keep it here for now so we can talk like more in details later on maybe.
No, of course. And I think that's extremely important because in the digital era, as I mentioned, it's very challenging to own anything. Once you put something out there, it doesn't feel like it's yours. And that's a big poignant innovation that came from NFTs, cryptocurrency, letting you own your value. And now with storage coming into play and databases, computing, network capacity, we're going to see this era, I think, of technology creating healthy competition and also expanding the use cases for the internet itself. So I think that's phenomenal. One thing I wanted to touch on. So I was hoping you could talk to me a little bit about the Stratos data mesh, and if possible, for the viewers, doesn't necessarily need to be the most technical. In fact, I will link to the white paper in this video if you do want to get that technical. But for the viewers, could you break down each different layer, the blockchain layer, the resource node, and the meta node?
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, I think the decentralized data mesh is kind of the words that we came up with when we first launched this project, because we were trying to be easy to understand, but also creative about how can we include all the components we have, right? And also, to be honest, here's the fun story that back in the days in late 2019, when we talk about, when we share this or when we pitch with VCs or investors about decentralized cloud, this concept, they are not super hyped about it. So back in the days, it's mostly about NFT and DeFi stuff. So that's what kind of got us hesitant that maybe the cloud term in Web3, which is widely recognized, is not as kind of sexy as compared to in Web3 compared to Web2. So that's why we believe data mesh is one of the worlds that kind of comprehensive enough that to showcase we have the whole power to to store your data and also processing your data through database, and plus we are also including this computation network. However, as this industry is evolving, we tend to see that people are more familiar with the term of cloud or decentralized cloud. So we're actually in a transition that we will kind of in the near future, we will be using the term decentralized cloud or cloud more and more rather than the data mesh. So so that's the kind of story about what data mesh is. Because data mesh is a super technical terms, I think, for a lot of people. And now, speaking about the Stratos 3-layer design. So, like I just mentioned, so this is getting very technical. And if there's any audience from your channels that they are tech savvy, I highly recommend them to really check out our white papers. So I heard it from a lot of people that they do believe Stratos white paper is one of the a few really most detailed ones in the space for a read to go for a read. Like I mentioned, it's a 3-layer design. The bottom layer is the resource node. That's where we're using the proof of traffic consensus. So proof of traffic, it's a completely unique consensus that Stratos create. So we're using traffic to track and calculate those resources being referred as storage, traffic, and calculations that's used by each participant of the network. So why traffic is because if you take a look at the current Web 2 world we're living in, that literally traffic is the measurement for a lot of business, right? So for your channels, the views, right, or the traffic of your channel is what drives the growth of your channels, and also what kind of YouTube compensate on your creations, right? And for applications, we're always talking about daily active users for platform, et cetera. So it's proven by the Web2 economic that traffic really means the value of your business. So that's why we believe that proof of traffic, it's a more making most economic sense. And that's really from the bottom layers that what we are using to incentivize our miners. And in such way, we're really encouraging them to not only care about how much being stored, but about your bandwidth you're providing to the network and how they are performing it, So this is about the bottom layers. So in the middle layers, that's where the blockchain node are. And so in this levels, we're using proof of stake consensus, which is commonly being heard. So here's the level that validators are working on the blockchain levels. So pretty much. So for the top level, which is called the meta node. So meta node is kind of this coordinating layer or levels that we are using proof of authorities. So like the meta node level, they are really kind of corresponding with the servers from like everything. That's kind of overall the 3-layer design of Stratos. And among each like layers, there will be miner taking on different kind of tasks and supporting or providing resources and their bandwidth to the network.
So if you're a validator on the blockchain, or if you're acting as a resource node, which if I understood it correctly,
yes,
is the layer where basically the magic is happening. It's where data is being stored, bandwidth is being given, the cloud is being used, and the meta node is essentially validating through the blockchain and connecting to the resource node, or navigating the information to the proper resource node. If I understood you correctly.
Yes, I think you put it very well. That resource node, I think, is the most. That's really where the magic is happening, and also it's also where that we care most about the overall performance of each miners, because that's really where all the storing, downloading, retrieval is happening. Yeah.
So the other thing is, when you say proof of traffic, if I understand that correctly, so what I would assume is that if your resource node is receiving the most traffic, you therefore receive more rewards than one that is not receiving as much traffic. Is that correct?
Yes,
okay.
That's correct. However, there are also different kind of rules, like in terms of how, we're going to dispatch different kind of tasks and stuff. So all in all, to just put in simple that if a resource node, they're able to kind of prove their stabilities in terms of the bandwidth powers and also how they are contributing into the network, right? They're going to be like a scoring system to for that as well. So yeah.
And that's where it would be proof of authority, I would imagine, because if your node is functioning properly, therefore it would receive more traffic because it's gained more merit, if that makes sense. If I'm understanding this correctly.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. One thing. So we've established that the technology has a degree of censorship resistance. And we've also established that there's 3 different layers. The next question I wanted to ask you, so suppose you're someone watching the show, you're interested in creating a node on one of those 3 levels. What I noticed when I was reading the white paper, there wasn't too much information. Maybe it just hasn't come out yet, or maybe I didn't find it. But do you know of some of the technical requirements? And I'd love for you to describe that as possible.
So first of all, I want to share this, that miner will be down the road and or already will be a major contributor to our network, right? Because it's really all those distributed computers or data centers who are powering our networks, right? So to become a validator or to just become a node on the blockchain level, it's pretty standard, just like any other kind of validator node and stuff. However, to be able to meet our minimum requirement to become a resource node, we do recommend you to have at least 100 megabyte of bandwidth and Intel Core CPU above i5 and 16 gigabyte to 32 gigabyte of memories. So those are the minimum requirements. However, because a lot of people, they are used to mine, other projects which really looks into CPUs and your storage like capacities. So like they're used to always keep thinking about, oh, I have this huge memories or storage available, blah blah blah. However, in our network, storage is not a kind of the most important thing. It's really the bandwidth, because it's the bandwidth that ensure that your uploading and downloading speed. It ensures that the stabilities of the network when there are millions of users accessing it. So yeah, that's kind of the technical requirements for those who might be interested in mining it.
No, and that's an extremely important feat as well, because I would imagine that, like any other blockchain, the more participants, as far as like the different validators and nodes, and or in this case, research nodes and meta nodes, if I'm saying that correctly, forgive me, will further decentralize the blockchain or further decentralize the network. So one thing I wanted to ask is, especially since mainnet is around the corner, when this starts, how is there going to be? I imagine, since it's small, forgive me, I don't mean that offensively. I mean, since it's starting, I imagine there's not going to be a ton of validators and a ton of people offering data storage right out the gate. So
yeah,
for those who maybe are invested in Stratos, or maybe just want to get an idea of how such a massive undertaking is done, I was wondering, how is this going to look, mainnet launch?
Well, actually, if I may, I need to correct you here, because like earlier this year, we did launch our incentive testnet for storage, right? So that's when a lot of miners have already joined our networks, right? Helping us doing testings, and also through different kind of testing, we already upgraded our testnet like to the fourth versions already. So there are already a lot of miners already being part of this ecosystem. So just to drop some numbers, I believe that right now we have about more than like 300,000 resource node already registered or connected to our network. I believe the active ones could be around 5,000 to 8,000. And for the validators, because given the like incentive testnet, like rewards distribution rules, we're only kind of awarding the first 100 like validators. So we're only keeping it around 100. So I believe that definitely Stratos is kind of like on a watch list for a lot of people who are interested in about storage space, who are interested about mining. So, but we always welcome, like more miners to join this ecosystem together. That's kind of about the testnet stage. So what we are working on in terms of prepping for the mainnet is, first of all, although we have been upgraded and keep kind of perfecting the storage testnet, right? But we're still working on the Tropos 5. So on Tropos 5, we will able to present or deliver a close to fully functional like storage to the public. So by then, that's also when we'll be onboarding a lot of projects, invite them to try out, maybe by starting store a portion of their data or contents onto Stratos storage. And also down the road, we will also need to work with, those security auditing companies in preparation for our mainnet launch. And also there will be token migration work to coordinate with some of the centralized exchange. So here are some of the countdown lists where we have already created, and we already shared this with our community as well. So if anybody is interested, I do recommend you whether follow us on Twitter, look for Stratos Network, or you can also search Stratos on Medium as well. So yeah, that's kind of our plan for the mainnet launch.
You'll forgive my ignorance. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Don't worry about it. There's too many components, that we're working on, and you already did an amazing job, like researching about us. I really appreciate all the homework you did.
No, I appreciate you making it on here. So we're going to take a brief break, and we're going to leave a message from our sponsor, MEXC Global, right now. Degens for a Brighter Future is excited to announce that we are partnering with MEXC Global, one of the world's largest crypto exchanges. And if you sign up with our affiliate link below, make a deposit and start trading, there's the possibility that you could win $4,100. If you're not familiar with MEXC Global, they have a wide range of awesome products for you to use, such as spot trading, cryptocurrency, options trading, ETFs, and even the ability to copy trade some of the world's greatest traders. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, then what are you waiting for? Use our affiliate link below, sign up, and start trading today. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. I mean, right now, that's one of the major challenges, is that blockchain is a very complex piece of technology. And also, I think, honestly, and that's another reason why I wanted you on here, is I think your space has arguably some of the most potential, in my opinion, to grow. Because right now, there's so many layer ones. You can you can write a smart contract anywhere. You know, it seems never ending. But I think, especially right now, with the amount of censorship that is going on in the space, it's actually really profound how it's under the radar it is, that most people don't realize that their identity online, everything that's digital, it's not really theirs, you know? So, I mean, it's a extremely important and poignant thing. So
yeah, I absolutely agree, because blockchain is not decentralization, right? Blockchain doesn't equal to decentralization. However, right now, you know, with where we are at this industry, we tend to just, you know, ignore about the fully decentralization of it, because we're all looking for a growth to a certain extent. However, like, to be honest, even on a daily basis, when I read different kind of news or different kind of headlines about, oh, this project is raising this much funds or blah, 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 I tend to get like, oh, hyped, you know, by those type of news. So I was thinking, are we too slow, you know, in terms of like delivering or stuff? However, when you look down, or when you really take a deep dive into this, you will come to realization that, okay, we have a lot of great application ideas. However, there are not enough infrastructure or architecture to actually support those great applications to scale. I think that's where the bottleneck we're at together in this industry. And that's why, you know, sometimes after a certain doubt, I'll come back to the reality that, okay, we are actually building something very tangible, and it's going to be really benefiting the whole industry in the long term. And I think that's also what made me, like you said, very passionate, you know, about telling the stories or explaining the technologies, because I am confident about the use case. Or the necessity of having it ready, right? But I think we all need a little bit more patience in this space, you know, because Rome is not built in a day, and like technology innovation, right? Not just about technology development, innovation does take some time. But I think we made some results already. If you take a look at our testnet kind of performance, right? Uploading right now, if you upload like 100 megabyte videos, it took only like 3 seconds to upload from a regular node in London. I think we're getting there, but we definitely need like alliance, you know, partnership from developers, builders, or even Web2 companies who, you know, who are open-minded enough to talk to us. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a joint efforts together.
I gotta say too, so going back to censorship, we did see, you know, the sanctioning of Tornado Cash. And I think I've brought this up now with the other people that I've been interviewing, but it still seems so fresh. And I think it's brought back to light the sensitivity that blockchain is, and how fresh the technology is, how decentralizing is still, for many of them, a challenge. So when it comes to the use of Stratos Network, is there still going to be a layer of censorship resistance? Will there be another party that has access to that information? Could, say, a node see the data that I'm putting in or access it? Or does the node and the metanode, are they just moving that information into storage?
Yeah, so if I understand your question correctly, I think once we, build out every component, eventually we'll have this beautiful vision that we believe there should be the whole projects or the whole network should be given back to the communities. Of course, we're still going to keep like major people to maintain them. However, for all this, let's say, distribution of the contents or data or being stored, those are all programmed. These are all kind of automatically, by the cloud themselves. So there won't be third party involving into it. However, I think, we're always on this fine line about centralization and decentralizations, right? So I believe it does take a goodwill to keep pursuing for the fully decentralizations, but I believe the team will still need it to actually making sure everything is up to functional, it's stable, and etc. So that's how I perceive this in the long term, and I hope this kind of answer your question.
No, of course. Mainnet is not launched yet, so maybe not all the answers are going to be available. But it's nice to know that at least there's someone. I haven't chatted with everyone on the team, obviously, but at least it's nice to know that that seems to be the message that's circulating. The next thing I wanted to ask you. So, interestingly enough, one of the new challenges that I think is going on, and this is with crypto in general. Are you and your team a little concerned about some of these new regulations within Canada, and also some of the regulations that are rolling out in the Eurozone, such as the altcoin buy limits that the Newton Exchange and I think it's BitBuy announced in Ontario, or the travel rule that is going on that we'll see what the final version looks like, but the travel rule going on in Europe and having to KYC every wallet transaction.
To be honest, we haven't really had like a group discussion in regards to such a specific topic. However, I believe because our projects or our token has a huge utility, right? So at the end of the day, for sure, we will follow like a lot of regulations as needed, but at the same time, we also want to kind of facilitate the whole technologies for Web2 company to use it as well, right? Because like I mentioned, it's still going to be B2B business mostly, and token is just one of the ways that we incentivize our participants and miners. So that's how we perceive or how we position ourselves in this unique space.
Right, I see. And just for any viewers that might be confused about that language, incentivize, it's the reward of the token that keeps the network decentralized, since they're not hiring employees. That's the incentive that keeps the network running, decentralized, and more miners, more resource nodes, and meta nodes coming in. Just for anyone watching that might not have understood that.
That's a good add-on.
Yeah, no, just throwing that out there. No, and that's a fine response. I think now you touched on that as well. So there currently is a Stratos token. So I was hoping you could go over some of the utility behind the token, maybe for the user that is uploading data, and maybe also for the validators and the other nodes participating in the network.
Sure. So like I just mentioned that, first of all, Stratos tokens will be mostly used as, the payment for anybody who will be using Stratos storage or Stratos cloud services, right? So that's kind of one of the major kind of utilities, and also our like token stocks can be staked or delegated to the validators to secure their blockchain network. On top of that, this is also going to be issued as the rewards for those proof of traffic miners. And last but not least, once we having a active network, right? So stocks can also be prepaid for Stratos resource network service traffic fees, just like how everybody is paying for the gas fees for the Ethereum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. So you would need to use the token in order to, say, upload data or to utilize the cloud. So the token always has a circular use. It's being vested by miners, but it's being purchased by users who are trying to utilize the network. Okay. So you guys are, just for lack of a better word, no offense or anything meant by this, but definitely a smaller project, in the altcoin category. And I wanted to ask you, what is it like as a blockchain or cryptocurrency team working together during the bear market? How does it affect the awnings and goings within work life in the space?
First of all, I think we are very lucky that I think financially the whole team were doing great, in regards to like fighting or passing through this bear market. From another perspective, I think I personally have been talking this out loud. I was saying that I personally really enjoy this bear market ride because for a project that actually builds, it's so important for us to just, ignore all those distractions, all those hype that we can really focus on the buildings, right? So that's kind of overall the current vibe internally that I think we're just building, delivering. And of course, we want to making sure that we hit every milestone smoothly, right? So I think, but at the same time, because we're working towards the mainnet launch, so we're also kind of still keeping ourselves very active in terms of business development or marketing exposures. But at the same time, this is something I discovered from a lot of the interactions with my peers in the industry that during this bear market, whether it's VC or a lot of individual or retail investors, they also kind of turn back their attention back to the infrastructure, which is definitely a positive sign for us in these sectors in general. So I think, unlike a lot of team, like Stratos, we are still keeping our team members or employees rather, close in like the same country or same city. So most of us are from Montreal and Toronto. So I think in that sense, we're still able to work very closely when it's needed. And I find that's also for a lot of investors that they believe this kind of closeness is also important for projects to actually strive in terms of the development performance. So that's kind of how internally we're handling the bear market. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough time out there, but you brought it home very well. At the end of the day, it's the people that are continuing to build despite these challenges that are most likely, we can never guarantee success, but more likely than not will succeed, I think. The next thing I wanted to ask you too is, so you're a marketing professional in the crypto space. What are some of the challenges marketing cryptocurrency, and also how are you delegating this information out there? What are some of the metrics that, say, a professional within the crypto space who works in marketing should be looking at?
I think crypto marketing, it's definitely a fun job, but sometimes it can get also very intimidating sometimes, right? Because let's say when the market is doing great, you are so afraid that you are kind of far behind, you didn't do something timely enough, to catch all the right audience. But I think some of the personal kind of principles I have been following in terms of building Stratos kind of marketing strategy is, first of all, I believe you still always need to come back to your own technology and your own products. You have to constantly bring this awareness to whether people already be part of your community or who are completely new to this, instead of just, tag along with other buzzwords or with other kind of trending topics, etc. So that's kind of number one thing. Second is some of the metrics. I believe there are multiple kind of approach that everybody is trying to breakthrough, right? So first of all, we often say community is everything in Web3, in cryptos. Yes, which I fully agree. However, I think having this community support is not only about the number of people, but I also think deeply that it's really about these trust or this relationship you're building with them. For example, I think like often on a daily basis, I think I'm really touched by a group of supportive and loyal community that Stratos has grouped together. However, I think it does take a lot of patience to build it because people come and go, right? A lot of people might find your project promising, like through word of mouth, right? So they jump into these opportunities without really knowing much about you. So the communication with them or managing the expectation, I think it's highly important and precious in this space in terms of marketing. And of course, right now, people are using a lot of other kind of platforms or ways to engage with more general like audience, right? People were trying to use Twitter Space to grasp attention from like different kind of projects or people who are interested in the space, and attending different kind of conferences or trade shows. I believe it's also a very effective marketing approach as well, because you get to really exchange or present your team and your product through like a more face-to-face manner, and that's how we get connected as well, right? So overall, and of course, we must mention like KOL marketing is also, I think, one of the secret weapon in this space if you use it right. If you choose the right KOL who understands you, who really wants to like communicate or help you educate your technology to their audience, then you're gonna do like a win-win together. So those are some of the things I think are commonly being like working on in the space, which are also some of the things I focus on instead of just growing your Twitter numbers or growing your Telegram like group numbers, etc. So I focus more in terms of maintaining your existing communities through that way. Yeah.
I think that's probably the first time I've spoken to a marketing professional in the space that spoke about maintaining the community they have. It's such a competitive scene that I think a lot of marketing professionals focus so much on boosting those numbers as fast as they can. And if you leave behind the community that helped build, your project, that could be, that could end up falling on your face, at some point. So I think that was a really poignant thing that you just said. On the final page, one of the final pages of the white paper, there's a really bold claim, or maybe a not so bold claim for you guys and your team. So what I read was that Stratos ultimately wants to, or believes that they will garner 50% of the cloud web services market. Out of curiosity, not out of doubt, but I want to paint this picture, and I'm curious how this looks in the future and how you guys will attempt or achieve that.
I believe that, like, first of all, it's a goal, it's an ambition statement, I think, but it also tells how big the cloud market is, because if you're really looking at the current, like the market share of the general cloud, centralized or decentralized space, we definitely believe that we are able to take a share of this, right? Even though right now, because we're still at the building stage, so we are pretty humble, we don't really like promote much or compare ourselves directly with AWS or Google to certain levels. However, we do believe that when it comes to a cost-efficient solutions, which is also able to provide kind of up to the standard centralized service experience, that it's gonna be appealing to a lot of business owners. And I think that's kind of the way we will try to take one of the share of this big market as well. So in this way, I think that's kind of how we're going to try to achieve this strategically, right? Not only looking at the Web3, but also trying to get into the Web2. Yeah, which I find that right now we have been received many positive feedbacks than we thought from Web2, from some of the interactions.
Yeah, and I think it's good to be ambitious. You know, there's I think the sky is the limit, especially right now. You know, everybody doesn't realize how early we are with this technology. You know, and I'm hoping I use this platform to get that message across. There's a lot out there, a ton of opportunities that are waiting to be grabbed. I am extremely excited for the Stratos Network. Oh, I think what you guys are doing is phenomenal. I'm looking forward to seeing the future. For anyone watching, thank you so much. If you're interested in learning more about the Stratos Network, the website will be below, as well as their LinkedIn, other social media, all of it will be there. And if you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when there's a new episode. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter. I just started a TikTok. You can follow us there too to stay updated. And also, if you want to support us, check out our affiliate link for MEXC Global, our partner. We are really excited to work with them and we appreciate everything. Claire, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to tell the audience?
Well, first, thank you, George, for inviting me. I did enjoy our conversation a lot. I find that's also kind of like a self assessment like process as well, from many point perspectives, personal growth, like career choices, and also about the technology part. And I think we're definitely, like you mentioned, still very early in this space, and we have been seeing that how many opportunities are, right? Not only in crypto, but more specifically decentralized storage or decentralized infrastructures. So at Stratos, we definitely strive to build the solid infrastructure or decentralized cloud for Web 3.0. So if you are a builder, developer, or simply someone who's keen about crypto or blockchain technologies, please feel free to follow us on Twitter or join our communities. So we're more than happy to welcome you, to exchange our knowledge, and to let you discover more about the bottom layer of this industry. So yeah, thanks for having me, and let's definitely stay in touch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope we do this conversation again in the future. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much. If you enjoyed this interview and want more knowledge bombs, check out these other ones I did, like this one with Andrew Weiner, the Vice President of MEXC Global, one of the world's largest crypto exchanges and our partner. Or you can check out this one with Alex Lupascu, the co-founder of Omnia, which is an off-chain privacy protocol. Anyways, thank you for watching, and degen safely.